What's up, you guys? It's Royce Jacob, and welcome back to Waves Capital. Mara Holdings just announced their first earnings report of 2025, and at a time when the sector really needed some good news, Mara came through. This isn't only good news for the stock, but it's also good news for us over at Waves Cap because we have been sharking up Mara and Riot call options over the course of the pullback that's occurred over the past couple of days, and let's hope these gains can keep on keeping on. So on that note, in this video, I not only want to go over the earnings report itself and talk about why investors are impressed with this and why the stock is climbing higher in after hours, but I want to take a look at Bitcoin, Riot, and Mara on the charts and talk about some short-term bounce targets that hopefully result in more than just a bounce. But I do want to talk about bounce targets. I want to talk about where I plan on personally taking profits from some of my call options positions. And again, just talk about the short to medium, maybe even longer term future of Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining stocks. Because as I said earlier, this is some news that we definitely needed considering it's been a pretty tough week. Not only for Bitcoin and Bitcoin stocks, but just growth stocks and risk assets across the board. So before we get into Mara's earnings, if you guys want my daily trade alerts, if you want to join the Waves trading team, if you want a full breakdown of my entire personal portfolio, if you want to know how we've made a whole bunch of put profits and how we've reallocated those put profits into call options, then it's the first link in the description of this video. This is a couple of days ago. The portfolio is looking different right now. So I'll just do a quick scroll down, just give you guys an idea of what these trade alerts look like. And yeah, if you guys want to join, it's the first link in the description. My complete portfolio, daily trade alerts, email newsletters, $15 a month, $40 for every 3 months. Try it free. I offer a free trial, free weekly trial. And that's because I'm so confident in the product I provide. And it's, for those of you who are members, you would know, maybe even if not, if you're just following along, you know that it's been a pretty historic year, historic month for Waves Capital. So I'm not saying this in a greedy way, but let's just keep the gains coming, guys. That's what trading's about. Trading's about making as much money as you possibly can, and I'm very thankful and just very fortunate to be doing exactly that. Again, if you want to join the trading team, it's the first link in the description of this video. If not, I hope you enjoyed this one, and let's get to reading. So, Mara Holdings, Q4 earnings. Revenue climbs as digital asset value and exahash rate climb. Mara Holdings gained 2.7%, now more than that, about 6% as I'm recording this video. Went up as much as like 9%, like half an hour or so ago, but we'll see what happens in the day ahead. Anyway, we're up in after hours. After the Bitcoin miner and data center operators, Q4 earnings and revenue surged past Wall Street expectations as its value of digital assets climbed. Its hash rate exceeded 50 exahash, and the daily cost of revenue declined. That's big. Q4 GAAP EPS of $1.24 versus the average analyst estimate of 69 cents, which is way out of the water with estimates, swung from negative 42 cents in Q3 and 66 cents in Q4 of 2023. The year-over-year improvement was primarily driven by a 156M increase in operating income, the $299.8 million change in fair value of digital assets, receivable net offset by a $102.2 million income tax benefit in the current period compared with the prior year period. Revenue of $214.4 million, beating the $183.9 million consensus, increased from $131.7 million in the prior quarter and $186.8 million a year ago. Okay, so good stuff there, you guys. You can always go give this a good Google and find an in-depth report on this report if you're interested. But overall, amazing growth, and I think what investors, in my opinion at least, what investors are really excited about here is really tightening up those margins and squeaking out more profits than many expected. Okay, so that's good news. That's obviously the right trajectory, especially in this macroeconomic environment where things are pretty, we got sticky inflation, we have a stubborn Fed, we have some poor macroeconomic data that's been rolling in. So I will say, just kind of on that macro front, because ultimately, even if you don't care about the macro, if you're just invested in Bitcoin miners for the long term, especially as a trader, if you're swing trading, especially swing trading options like I do, it's very important to understand what's going on in the macro because that will inevitably have an impact on any sector of the market, regardless of how independent it may seem. And on that note, I will say that I think that Bitcoin can begin to break correlation. So I'm not feeling too good, too optimistic, even though NVIDIA just came out with a decent earnings report. We'll see what actually materializes tomorrow. I'm not feeling super optimistic, just given kind of those three factors that I listed earlier about like the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. But I do think that if there is a macro asset, a risk on asset, I'll say, that can break correlation, it's obviously, I'm alluding to Bitcoin here. Bitcoin has been known to be a chaos hedge. We've called it a chaos hedge many times in the past. I made multiple videos over the years talking about Bitcoin as a potential chaos hedge. It's gold 2.0. And I do think that as this kind of fear-driven dust settles, that investors will start flocking to Bitcoin more. And I think just overall, the fundamental argument for Bitcoin is still incredibly strong, especially under this new presidency and whatnot. And I don't want to harp on that anymore, but I will say that even if stocks struggle, like again, the major equity indices struggle, like the SPY and the Qs, I think Bitcoin can eventually break that correlation and rally into the spring and summer. So that's a little longer term macro view. As far as short term, I think that a bounce is in order, as I alluded to earlier, not only for Bitcoin, but for Riot and Mara as well, or whatever. Mara and Bitcoin and Riot as well. So when it comes to Bitcoin, when it comes to all three of these, I'm eyeballing what is, as many of you would know, I have a members exclusive trader tips video discussing this. And this is my favorite technical pattern in the entire trading game to trade off of. And I found that it's by far the most consistent and most reliable in terms of how effective it is and kind of the hit rate percentage-wise of this actually happening, especially when it's a meaningful trend line. And that is a line of broken support, can be resistance as well, but in this case, it's a line of broken support that I believe will come back into play as new resistance, okay? And again, vice versa, if it's a broken line of resistance, it can be used as new support, and this is really the single pattern I could attribute for most of this year's gains. Most of like the 400% rallies across multiple trades that we've seen in 2025. This is the primary technical pattern that I can thank for that, okay? So again, this blue line right here, broken support. Once we broke below that, we really, really started falling off a cliff, and we're still falling down now. You can see here that as we zoom out, Bitcoin has currently tested the line of what I call absolute resistance. Conservative resistance. Conservative support is this orange line. Absolute support on this megaphone trading range esque pattern, kind of an abstract pattern, kind of megaphony, kind of just sideways trading range-ish. Regardless, the line of support, line of absolute support, I have a trader's tip video about that as well. The line of absolute support has been tested, has been broken below actually, and we're currently sitting above it. Again, we have to see how the day ahead materializes. I just wanted to get this out now because I do think that the short term definitely favors the bulls. And I do think that, as I just said, that we can bounce up to this blue line of broken resistance as new support, which would translate to, an 11, maybe 12% move higher in over the next week or so. Okay, so I'm thinking by the end of this first week of March that we can climb to test this. That would result in let's call it a $94,000 Bitcoin. Say 93 just to kind of front run the competition and not get greedy. That's how I always like to do it. Even if you have a price target, just shave off 1% or 2%. That's where you start taking profits. Okay, if you're in the money, if this plays out, these call options, the profits are gonna materialize significantly, obviously. So we're gonna be seeing a crazy amount of profits in the case that this does happen. So again, don't stress the margins. If you have a price target, be willing to be malleable when it comes to that price target, and just don't get greedy, because you can really have bitten in the ass if you get too greedy and stick too closely to your price targets. And you do you, but that's how I trade, and I found that to be almost always the most non-regrettable decision. Okay, I've almost always regretted not taking profits, but it's very rare that you regret taking profits a little too soon. Okay, especially if you're already weighing the money. All right, so that's Bitcoin. Let's take a look at Mara, and then we'll close it out with the OG Riot platforms. Mara, super simple here. I mean, there's this line. You can see Mara was printing this kind of medium-term megaphone channel right here. Broke below the line of support on this megaphone channel just a couple of days ago. On the note of megaphone channels, what also makes me bullish, just made me bullish on Mara from a technical perspective. Even before this is the fact that Mara just bounced off of the line of resistance on this macro, like super long-term megaphone channel pattern. Okay, so super long-term line of support here in place since January of 24, over a year now. And we did also, just if you're looking at 4-hour RSI, way oversold, way deep in oversold territory. Like these are areas that you rarely see, even during like hype cycles and stuff. So Bitcoin miners super underappreciated. Bitcoin, I think, will bounce back in. Definitely the medium to long term. Short term, we'll see what happens. But overall, Bitcoin miners, I think this is really promising. I think Bitcoin miners can even perform in the case that Bitcoin does falter. I'm optimistic, but that's optimists make more money than the pessimists. That's how it usually goes. Unless you're us this past week where we just printed with puts. But aside from that, I am bullish on the short term when it comes to Bitcoin miners. I think Mara can bounce up similar to Bitcoin to retest this line of broken supports is new resistance that would result in 21 to 22% in that same period of time I mentioned before by the end of the first week of March. That's what I'm eyeballing. And just for full transparency, the Mara call options that I currently have a 321 expiration. And again, if you want just literally a breakdown of my entire portfolio and a daily update on how I'm altering my options portfolio, it's the first link in the description. Okay, so let's close it out here with Riot. This is going to be kind of like, different stock, same story. I do think that Riot, and Riot is obviously climbing after hours as well, just kind of on riding the momentum from Mara. And Riot announced earnings on Monday. That earnings report was impressive. The stock still fell just due to macroeconomic issues, kind of just dragged down by the overall risk, the overall risk on asset growth stock, just storm that's happening right now. But I thought it was a solid report, pretty similar to Mara's. I thought they reported some pretty solid numbers. And, even if the stock takes a while to really make a true comeback, and this goes for all three of the assets that we just discussed, BTC, Riot, and Mara, I think that the short to medium term definitely favors the bulls. I think these stocks deserve a bounce at the very least. And, in that same period of time, this extends a little further out, but same story here. This orange line, broken line of support, I think will come into play as a new resistance. That's, let's just go by, March, 7th is the end of the first week of March, nice and even. That would result in, a 26, 27% move up to 1130, 1140. Okay. So that's that, you guys. Let me know in the comments below what you think about everything we just discussed. Let me know what you're thinking about other stocks, if there's anything else you're excited about. And again, for the last time, if you want to join WavesCap, if you want to join the trading team, it's the first link in the description of the video. I appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you in the comments downstairs. Until next time, always remember, take action, make waves. Peace.